Welcome to our podcast where we look for opportunities in our lives to see a beautiful view. I'm Candy.
And I'm Paul. We look forward to sharing with you today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful view.
We could climb a mighty mountain, float on down a winding river, travel back in time and face our future too. I'm not scared of where I'm going, 'cause I know whose hands I'm holding. Oh, I'd go anywhere, as long as you're going to. Well, I'd go anywhere, as long as I'm with you.
It's been a crazy week of weather this week, hasn't it?
I can't believe my eyes. Every time I look out the window, it's like the snow is in huge snow banks at the side of the roads and beside the parked vehicles.
I think this is the most snow we've ever experienced at one time.
I've never seen anything like this.
We measured it the other day, and what did we...
It was over 12 inches.
Yeah, it was. We've had at least a foot of snow.
Yeah.
And where it's been shoveled and piled, I mean, there are places that it's probably 3.5 feet deep.
Very easily. Like there's a gym in town and their parking lot has a mountain.
Yeah.
A snow mountain.
Yeah, we have a mountain too, maybe not quite that big, but we actually in front of the RV under the tongue, that's a clear space. So we shovel all the snow under the RV. So we call it Sandpiper Mountain because our RV isn't Sandpiper.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
and it's kind of sad because it means that it's stuck there.
Yeah, it's true. It really does block us in. We're not getting over that mountain.
And we really don't even know how to measure the amount of snow that's fallen. So in Texas, you have the good old rain gauge, which everybody uses. So really, when we talk about 12 inches, we're talking about we sink one of those plastic rulers into a piece of snow that hasn't been messed up.
Right.
And that's 12 inches deep.
Yeah. So the schools have had several snow days. They've missed several days of school. So it's been kind of fun to have Tyler home a little bit more than
I think he's
normal. So
he's missed the basketball practices. I think he's missed some of that. I don't think he's missed having to get up early in the morning.
No, I don't think any of us have missed having to get up that early in the morning.
But he has missed being with his teammates and practicing, and they've had several games they've had to reschedule. So lots of changes.
Yeah, we did something kind of funny this morning. We both got up and got dressed and then looked at each other, and we're both wearing the same hoodie today.
We're not different.
We were getting... They say be different. So they were a gift from one of our clients from the Southwest College for the Deaf in Big Spring, Texas. I love them. And I don't think we've had them now since probably April, May. And I don't think we've ever worn them on the same day. But apparently we both got up this morning and we were ready to be different, apparently.
So now we look like dorks now.
We do look like dorks because we're dressed alike sitting here recording our podcast.
Yes, yeah, really weird.
Anyway,
yes.
So let's get to the podcast. We have an announcement to make today.
We do?
Yes.
Okay.
We're rich.
We are?
And guess what?
What?
So are our listeners.
I think that might be true. Yes. No, we didn't win the lottery, at least not the lottery that you might be thinking of.
I think you have to kind of play the lottery to win. So there's that.
That's the theory.
Anyway, being rich is so much more than having a big house, a fancy car, a ton of money, a fat retirement account. I would like to propose that riches can come in other forms.
Okay.
Such as the quality of a person's life and the blessings that we may often take for granted.
When we sold our home and gave away the majority of our belongings back in 2015 to become a full-time RV family, we learned a thing or two about this subject.
We did. And today we're going to share some of the wisdom and the lessons that we learned by ditching societal and social norms and finding a life filled to the brim with abundant riches.
Sounds good.
Have you ever noticed that some people who have very little money seem to live very well? They almost seem to be, dare I say, rich.
Yep.
They're happy and content, and though they may not have a ton of money to give, they may regularly give of their time and talents.
Yes, Everyone has a different idea of what success means. For you, success might mean climbing the occupational ladder, getting a great career and just making advancements there. Mm-hmm. It might mean having a substantial retirement fund. It might mean being debt-free. It could mean purchasing or building your dream home. Maybe you're an avid lottery player, hoping for a big payout.
Yeah, but we truly believe that true wealth is determined by the quality of your life, and it can't always be measured or even achieved with money alone.
That's right. Money is only one form of wealth. You're rich when you realize some of the best things in life are completely free.
Yeah, so let's break this down and talk about some of the ways that we and our listeners are richer than we realize. We actually asked our teenagers about this subject the other day, and they were really quick to answer with things like, of course we're rich. We're rich in love and family, friendships, experiences. They totally get it.
They do. And it's because we've instilled these kinds of values in them over the years from a very early age.
We have, because here's the deal. Our family has had years of plenty, and we've had some very rough years financially. And I don't want to brag, but I still consider us to be extremely rich in a lot of areas.
Success and riches means so much more than money. Success means seeking God's will for everything and then being obedient to what He asks of us. It means having a strong marriage.
It means raising great kids. It means creating memories that last a lifetime. Finding freedom from what others expect from us. It means having enough. It means sharing out of our abundance. It means the freedom to worship as we want to. It also means being a little weird sometimes.
Us? Weird? Really?
Yeah, we can be a little weird. I mean, remember the whole thing about our matching sweatshirts today?
We're kind of modeling that right now.
We can be a little weird. It's okay.
We work hard. Our business is extremely important to us, and our clients are very important to us too. Mm-hmm. And we have great relationships with all of them. Mm-hmm. They're not only our clients, but they're also our friends. Mm-hmm. And being a small business, we still have a very relational side to our business.
Yes, and we are so grateful for awesome clients. Mm-hmm. Our business is what has allowed us to have the freedom to live such a rich life.
So let's back up just a little bit. We mentioned earlier that full-time RVing taught us a thing or two about being rich. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, full-time RVing is a completely different culture on its own.
Mm-hmm, it is.
So value is given to things that, to be honest, before our RV journeys, I didn't even really realize were an option. Mm-hmm. Though we have felt the demand of our bricks and sticks life here, mm-hmm. we still try really hard to keep boundaries in place and value on the things that really matter. So let's talk about some examples of things that are high value. Mm-hmm. How about time?
Oh, that's huge.
Right?
Time is so very valuable to us, and that's how we generally prioritize some things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're doing some very good things that have to be pushed down in priority just because we only just have so much time to give to each other. To give to projects we're working on. Mm-hmm. We have to balance, because we are business owners, so we have to balance sales with actually paying work. Mm-hmm. There's some work that we do that doesn't have an immediate payout.
Right.
So we're working on that right now.
Yeah. And we've had some times that have been very unbalanced.
We have.
And that was one of the things that when we started RVing that we really consciously
let's not do that again is what we said.
Yes. Let's not get ourselves in that place again where we have no time to give to each other, to our children, to things that really matter to us. So time definitely has a high value. So when we free ourselves up and we have time for each other, that feels rich.
Yes. Space to breathe, space to enjoy, to see what's around us rather than just having our heads down all the time, cranking out whatever it is that's right in front of us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Another high value commodity, I would say, is adventure.
I miss adventure.
We still have adventures. So just the other day, Of course, we're sitting here on the Mississippi River with all of our crazy winter storms. The river has now frozen over.
Yep, completely.
The bald eagles have kind of settled in this area just south of the Lock and Dam here.
Yep. Where there's a little bit of open water.
There is. So we went down the other day to kind of watch them for a little while. I consider that an adventure, just taking a little bit of a break and just seeing what, is going on around us. I think that, and even in this frigid, frozen to death place right now, I think there's still space to look around you for beautiful views and for adventure, and that all fits together.
I mean, I was just thinking, like if you live in the city, any of the big cities in the Midwest, you might be able to go downtown and see a flock of pigeons. We get to go and see like 12, 14 bald eagles fishing by the dam. I mean, it's one of those things, and we keep saying every time we go walk out there, is like we can never get used to this. It can't just become noise in the background. We got to be very grateful for where we live and the beauty that's around us.
Absolutely. And back to when we were RVing and homeschooling, that was a big part. Adventure was a big part of our children's education.
It was.
The many
experiential learning.
Absolutely. Just immersing ourselves in nature to learn about, all the varying different things.
Yeah. I was listening to a conversation yesterday, and a couple of our friends were talking about museum trips, and they had different approaches to it. So it was like one person likes to go and take their kids and grandkids to the museum and get through each exhibit. Like we've got to make this through here.
Yeah.
We have lunch coming up and all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, if there's one family member that wants to read all the details about what they're looking at, it throws the whole schedule off. And then the person that they were talking to is like, oh, I love to read
through all the things. Yeah.
And I like the guided tours and the audio clips that they play to you at in front of every exhibit. And I'm like, it's just a different approach to life.
It is.
It's either like just trying to gobble up as much experience as possible in a short space of time, or really absorbing what's in front of you.
Right. Yeah.
Different approaches.
Yeah, it is. It is. But adventure is definitely a high value thing. So that definitely, having those experiences in our treasure chest or whatever you want to call it, I mean, that really has added value and richness to
gives us stories, things
lives.
to talk
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah, that's something that somebody asked the other day. How do you always come up with things to talk about on your podcast? And I'm like, I have so many stories. I could sit and just tell stories all day long. Maybe I get that from my dad. My dad's a good storyteller.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller. Yeah.
I think sometimes his are fish tales, though.
Well, and we hear the stories, and they've got like little additions every time.
Yeah. Maybe they're just details that he left out. I love you, Daddy. I love his stories. So how about having a good marriage and being able to pour into our kids?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that is a huge part of all of this. We just went past the anniversary of me arriving on these shores.
Yes,
with
we did.
90-day fiancé visa in hand.
I
had the visa. And so that means that we are fast approaching our 22nd wedding anniversary.
We are.
And the spark is still there. I mean, life does tend to drag you down and has a tendency to do that. But you're still my girlfriend.
Oh. Yeah, that is really important. It is really, and having a good marriage and a good relationship and a good friendship with your spouse is so huge and adds so much value to your life. And when you have that, in turn, you're also able to pour that love and stuff into your family, into your kids.
Yes.
They see us being lovey-dovey all the time, and I'm sure that they think that's
sorry, kids.
Yeah. But there have been multiple occasions where they're like, "Oh, you're so cute."
Yeah.
Emily walked in the other night when we were sitting on the couch together watching a movie, sharing a blanket, and she's
with
like,
the dogs.
"Oh, yeah, dogs piled on top." And she's like, "Oh, you're so cute. You're all cuddled up together."
Yeah. Well, that's.
I'm glad our kids think we're cute. I mean,
yeah, it really is. It really is the foundation to our lives. There are times, obviously, when we, not very often these days, where we have to do things separately. So you're working down at the brewery, and so when you're down there, obviously, we're not together, not all the time.
Which is unusual for us. We've spent a lot of time together in the last 10 years.
And so, but when we're together, we always just work so much better. Like with work, with relationships with our friends, everything just goes a lot smoother with our Bible study. Like when we work on that together, like, this week we're really, and it's funny, like we're a few months in and we're still trying to find our
groove
feet and figure out how to do that. But when we work on it together, it's always better. It's just a foundation for so many areas of our lives together.
It is. And it's really funny too, because we have very different approaches to things.
Completely different.
So finding that middle ground to be able to work together is sometimes a little bit challenging. I think it may be more challenging for me than it is for Paul, but
I'm a problem.
I think this goes back to our communication episode.
It really does. I'm just a simple man.
Yeah, no, you're not.
No. So as we've gone on in our married lives, we have definitely found ways to give and take, and it's just been a learning process all the way through the last 22 years. So hard to believe. 22 years.
I know.
I still can't believe it.
We were talking about the other day that next year, I will have been married to you for half of my life.
This half seems a lot longer than the first half, I'm sure.
I did not say that. Don't put words in my mouth. Okay. So you might be listening to this and you are married and you're thinking, I don't really have that kind of marriage or relationship with my kids. You might be wondering how this kind of applies to you.
Yeah. I think the thing to remember here is that it's never too late to fall in love with your spouse. It's not going to be something that you can turn around overnight. Sure, you could go on a date, go out for a meal, have a really good time together.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier that we listed as the very first thing is time.
Yes.
I think that's where it starts.
Yes.
For us, that was a turning point in our marriage when we started giving each other more priority and more time. And I think for both of us, that speaks to our love languages. So that might be a good place for you to start, is to figure out what your love languages are. And there are all kinds of tools out there to do that, to find your own, to find your spouse's love language. And
I know for guys, and I mean, it can be for girls too, but speaking from my own perspective, when things didn't feel good, then I tended to shift my priority to my career. So I would jump into that, which just made the situation worse.
Absolutely.
And so, time. Time is key here. It's never too late to fall in love with your spouse, but that's not going to happen overnight.
Absolutely.
You have to prioritize each other. Start dating your spouse. Talk to each other, communicate, and just sort of like pick a moment to draw a line in the sand and to say, from this point forward, I'm going to do a better job of being a husband, of being a wife, and of spending time together and finding things that caused us to fall in love in the first place.
Yes. So definitely a good marriage, and being able to pour into our kids and having a great relationship with our kids also adds so much value and richness to our lives. So that is definitely true. So another high value item is making and having great memories.
Yep, it is. we have a lot, like you said before. We do have a lot of memories that we deliberately made.
Yes.
In that 6+ years on the road.
Yeah, and even before that, and since then, and I think just the ability to just kind of wherever you're at to take things in, to recognize. I know that when we first moved here to Bellevue, people here in Bellevue who've lived here possibly their whole lives, at least for a long time, they really enjoyed seeing all of the newness through our eyes, like all of the things that we were experiencing for the first time. Several people commented on how much fun, how much joy they were getting from watching our excitement about snow and about the eagles and about the river and, just things that they've seen their entire life and take for granted. But I think we're all like that.
Now our Facebook feeds are filled with pictures that they're all taking from their spots down south.
Exactly.
So they're all like in Florida and Texas and avoiding the snow at all costs. So, they're having their adventures too.
They are,
and we're living vicariously through them now.
Yeah. Tables have turned a little bit for the time being, but that's okay. That's
great.
We're still taking pictures and videos and capturing those little moments of beauty everywhere we, at our front door sometimes. So it's
we're surrounded by beauty every day.
We are.
No matter what the weather, no matter what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about our spiritual walks? There's so much value in devoting the time to walk closely with the Lord. And this isn't just a high value item. It has eternal value too.
It's essential.
Absolutely.
Critical. Like it or not, we are spiritual animals. We all have a need inside of us that goes beyond ourselves, beyond just simple needs such as like eating, the simple need for warmth and comfort. There's a spiritual need, a need for answers even. And everybody has that and satisfies that in different ways. But our spiritual walk is absolutely crucial. I know I absolutely see a difference in my life when I don't start the day right.
Yes, absolutely. And I think for both of us, starting the day in the Word that's just become something that we do. And I've been doing that for years and years and years now. Consistently every morning. Oftentimes before my feet hit the floor, I'm putting on that full armor before I even get out of bed, because I find that helps with attitude. It helps my day just start smoother. It puts me in the right place to be able to face whatever's going to come my way that day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that is huge, to have a spiritual walk, and that adds, obviously, as I said before, adds value to our lives, adds richness to walk with the Lord. But it not only has value now for those of us that are believers, it has eternal value. So
yeah, it certainly does. And it's funny how sometimes, like we follow, sometimes we're on the same plan as far as Bible reading, and then other times we're on different plans. And sometimes you'll get to your Bible reading and it's like some kind of dreadful situation where someone's
reading in Leviticus or something, and you're like in the New Testament.
And you're like, okay, that didn't really, it wasn't particularly encouraging, and it doesn't necessarily apply directly to anything right now, but for just the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
And as you read,
it's a discipline.
And as you read through it, there's other things that come to mind.
Sure.
And of course, ending up in prayer. Even if it's, Lord, I have no idea what that means to my life today.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for your word, and I'm grateful that this means something to someone today.
Absolutely.
So that's the best way to start every day. And I know for me, being, I think, a typical guy, that's kind of difficult. So there'll be days where I just kind of blow it off. I got something else to do. It's that whole compartmentalizing thing, you know, where like, this is the most important thing in front of me today. I have to get this project finished. I don't know if I have the brain space for that. And then you push it to one side, and before you know it, you realize just how important it was to do it. So
yeah, for me, I just finished up at the end of 2023. I finished up my 7th journey through the entire Bible. So that's a lot. And I have learned so much and gained so much understanding, knowledge, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, through viewing the Bible as a whole.
Yes. Some context.
Yeah, having context to everything, and you know, being able to read through those really hard parts that don't make a whole lot of sense in today's culture and all the things, the law and stuff like that. But all of it, just what I learned the most of is that all of that Old Testament stuff that's kind of crazy, it all points to the coming of Jesus.
Yeah, so, it's all part of that big story.
It is part of the big story.
That we're a part of today.
Absolutely. Another area that I find we are rich is in our friendships.
Yes, for sure.
I think we learned a thing or two about friendships while we were on the road, for sure.
Yep.
Some of our road friends have become like family to us. We actually kind of made up a word, or kind of took on a word when we were traveling. But family, friends who are like family.
Yes.
So,
yep.
But we are very blessed to have a great network of friendships here in Bellevue too. The thing about friendships when we were traveling is we had the opportunity to meet people from all over the place.
Yeah.
Different backgrounds, different beliefs, different political affiliations, you know, all the things. But what we found and what we learned in all of that is, regardless of the differences that we have with all of these people, we still have things in common with them.
Well, and that was the great thing. Like when you're RVing, you always have like how's your truck running for the guys? I've had this problem, that problem. I've had that same problem. So this is how we solved it. And then the RV tour around each other's RVs, you know, the ladies always give the tour to each other, and, you know, and then, you know, again, for the guys, you know, cooking, what hot plate grill do you use? Like, what's the in thing? You know?
Right.
And, you know, we talk about what beers we like. And if you're in a different place, it's like, have you tried the brewery down at, you know, wherever? Or coffee or whatever. Yeah, no, it's there's always something to talk about. And it's, for a lot of us, I mean, there were places where we had, you know, we'd been there before.
Common places we visited that we could share about.
But then, you know, we would go to a new place and we're all experiencing it together. Like, you know, you get there with another RV family and it's like, oh, where should we go? You know, so that was cool too.
Yeah, it's, it doesn't matter how much time has passed between the time that we see those friends. And this is true also for even friends back in Texas, when we're back there, when we meet up with our friends there, it just feels like we just pick up where we left off. And I love that. We are low maintenance people, and we love low maintenance friends.
That's critical.
So, and that's it's really fun when you do get to pick up those friendships again and talk about, you know, what's happened in the time that you haven't seen each other and different things that you're doing. And honestly, we really have everything we need.
Yes, we do.
And the more that we kind of talk about the riches that we possess, the richer I feel.
This is a good exercise.
It is a good exercise because wealth is really subjective.
Yep.
I would rather have my treasure chest full of all the things that we've mentioned today, far more than monetary riches, as nice as that would be sometimes.
Yeah,
but
true.
But we live a fairly minimal lifestyle, which allows us to focus on the things that really mean the most to us.
Absolutely true.
We might not always have a ton of extra money lying around, but we have gifts and time that we can share with others.
And one of the ways that we do this is by helping out in our community with things that mean a lot to us. One of our favorites is the Bellevue Community Cupboard Project.
Yeah, so we've actually been helping with the Bellevue Community Cupboard Project for
a little over 2 years now.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so as it turns out, we actually started volunteering there before we actually officially moved to Bellevue.
It was, it was a great way to get to know people.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
That was a part of, how we made so many friends and connected with so many people in this community before we actually bought a house here. It's a program that is funded by donations.
Yep.
It basically takes food that grocery stores and restaurants would typically throw out.
Yeah,
because,
discontinued items, whatever.
Yeah, things that didn't sell during a certain, right now we have a ton of Boo Berry cereal left from Halloween time. So, things like that are kind of like maybe not out of date, but they're kind of out of season and they need to move them.
Right.
To free up space on their shelves. So things like that. We end up with a huge order of stuff every week that gets sorted through. Yeah. And then on Saturday mornings,
we give it out.
To the community.
To whoever needs it.
It is not based on your finances.
No.
It's based on if you need food that day.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that we check up on or anything like that since it's funded by donations. We can give it to anyone. So.
And it's about reducing that food waste.
Yeah. And also reducing that food insecurity.
Yeah.
Like, feeling like guilty or like, those kinds of things.
I don't want to be a burden on somebody else, but I really could do with
Yeah, some groceries this week.
Some groceries this week.
Because
that would make life a lot easier.
Groceries are expensive.
They are really expensive.
And if you have a family to feed, it's So
if you're already like trying to find money to pay the bills, then often the food is where that kind of gets cut back first. That's a really critical part of this community, and of course makes a big impact because we're in a small town.
Absolutely.
So just our everybody's willingness to volunteer and be a part of that really makes a big impact. Like there are sometimes 70 plus families that we're feeding
come through on a Saturday
morning. They're coming
morning.
through. So that's a good percentage of our community that's being helped through that. So it's just a very fulfilling, easy way to serve the community and to serve each other.
Absolutely. It feels great to give back to our community.
It really does.
But being a part of things like this are a blessing to us as well.
They are.
So we are blessed by the people that we serve with, the friendships that we make.
Yes.
And the opportunity to provide groceries to people who need them with no questions asked.
Yeah, that's an important part of it.
Yeah. And I know we have a lot of listeners that are here in Bellevue. So
we do.
If you feel led and if you too would like to help the Community Cupboard Project in a small way, we'll include a link in our show notes that you can sign up to support them.
Another way we use our relative wealth is by sponsoring children through Compassion International.
Yes.
Our family currently sponsors 3 children on a monthly basis. One is in Kenya, one is in the Philippines, and one in Honduras. If you want to talk about being rich, even the poorest Americans are wealthy compared to some of these places in the world.
That's so true. The oldest of the 3 children that we sponsored through Compassion International is a 17-year-old young man from Kenya. I have been his sponsor for 12 years now. Yes. That's just crazy to me.
We've seen him grow up.
Yeah, since he was 5 years old. So I have literally watched him grow up.
Yeah.
It's been an honor and a privilege to give him a chance at life. Our sponsorship provides him with Bible teaching, health screenings, nutrition education, community service opportunities, mentorship programs, and educational field trips.
And some goats here and there.
That's really fun. He's old enough now that I receive handwritten letters from him pretty regularly.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And he is so gracious and so thankful in each one. I would love, love, love the opportunity someday to travel to Kenya and meet him and his family.
That would be amazing.
See where he lives and all the things. That would just be so, so cool. That's on my bucket list.
Yep.
And also, we would like to invite you and your family to consider sponsoring a child through Compassion International. We can't save them all, but everybody can do something.
Yeah, make a difference in one person's life.
We'll provide a link in today's show notes for you to find a child of your own to sponsor if that's something that you feel led to do.
Yeah, Proverbs 11 verse 25 tells us, "The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed."
I love that.
Does that mean we will have monetary wealth when we give to others? Of course not. But we will be richly blessed when we bless others.
All things considered, I think we are pretty rich.
I would agree.
What a blessed, beautiful life we get to live, friends. Please don't take it for granted. Are you rich? How rich are you?
Do you find yourself chasing success, a bigger salary, and the pressure to keep up with what society says you should possess to be wealthy? If so, that isn't necessarily wrong, as long as you have balance with the other things in your life.
Or maybe you make just enough money to get by. You might not be able to drive new vehicles. You might live in a modest house. Heck, we used to live in an RV. But I would guess if you reflect on some of the things we've been talking about today, and you look for the beauty and richness of some of the riches we have discussed, you will come to the conclusion that we have. You are indeed rich.
We would like to challenge you to evaluate your riches today. My guess is that when you do that, you will discover that you too are richer than you thought you were. So what are we going to talk about next time?
Well, our next episode is going to be called Answering the Call. What does that mean? Well, you'll have to tune in to find out.
Thank you for listening today. If you know of someone who would enjoy this podcast, please point them in our direction. Visit us at Beautiful View Podcast on Facebook or Instagram. Share our posts or share the link to our podcast.
Also, we would really appreciate it if you would follow, subscribe to, or leave a review for us on your favorite podcasting platform or on Facebook or wherever
you're watching or listening to this.
Absolutely. These things cost you nothing, but help more people find us.
Thank you to the Hopeful Few for permission to use your song on our podcast. You can check out more of their music on Spotify or Apple Music. The links are in our show notes.
If you have any questions you would like us to answer or suggestions for things you would like us to talk about in our future episodes, email us at beautifulviewpod@gmail.com.
And just a reminder, please consider joining the Beautiful View Patreon channel. This helps us keep these episodes coming and cover our production costs. Memberships are only $5 a month. Again, the link is in our show notes, and it's also on our social media accounts.
We hope you have a great day, and remember to always keep an eye open for opportunities in life to see a beautiful view.
We could climb a mighty mountain, float on down a winding river, travel back in time and face our future too. Oh, I'm not scared of where I'm going, 'cause I know whose hands I'm holding. Oh, I'd go anywhere as long as you're going to. And I'd go anywhere as long as I'm with you. Yeah, I'd go